What's up, Taiwan? I'm Louise with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A court has ordered the detention of a councillor from Taiwan's ruling party. Her case is just one of many corruption probes that reveal loopholes in public funding laws. Wesley Lewis reports.
Bogged down by a corruption probe, Councilor Chen Yijun of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party is being detained and held incommunicado over fraud allegations. Her release on bail last week, a decision prosecutors appealed and successfully overturned, bringing her back into custody, where she continues to deny the charges lodged against her. Chen has been accused of fraudulently claiming more than $91,000 in salaries for assistants. They're charges similar to those brought against other politicians. Kaohsiung Councilor Huang Shaoting of the Kuomintang was in 2024 indicted for falsely reporting the number of assistants he hired and claiming their salaries from public funds. And more recently, DPP lawmaker Lin Daihua has also been facing a similar corruption investigation. Legal analysts say laws need to be amended to prevent legislators from falsely claiming these allowances.
收入比较简单一点说，只要能够呼吸就可以当助理，所以就变成挂羊头卖狗肉这种情况会发生就在这里。
Politicians say there are procedures already in place to prevent this type of fraud.
我们现在每个月其实议员针对助理费的部分也都自己要签名对啊，所以我相信透过这样的一个法制化的宣导之后，将来应该可以减少这些状况的再发生。
In 2024, Taiwan's legislature passed a law to increase assistant allowances for city councilors to prevent lawmakers having to pay their assistants out of pocket. Now, as corruption probes reveal potential cracks in legislation, the Taipei City Council says they're stepping up monitoring to tackle fraudulent claims, patching up any existing loopholes to misappropriate public funds. Justin Wu and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
10 Taiwanese citizens found holding Chinese ID cards have been stripped of their voting, healthcare and residency rights. That's after the Interior Ministry revoked their household registration, a legal record that grants these rights. Taiwan's investigating 30 people for holding Chinese identification documents. Taiwanese citizens are not allowed to hold household registration in both Taiwan and China, which claims Taiwan as part of its territory. 2 suspects have been detained for possible involvement in an attack on a social activist in northern Taiwan. Chen Qizhong was walking home in Miaoli County on February the 6th when he was pepper sprayed and beaten by 2 men. Chen has participated in protests against the development of wind turbines and a landfill. Now he's calling for the perpetrators to be held responsible.
我这个案件不是只是单纯的殴打，而是背后面还有那个什么，就买凶来教训的那个背后的寓意啊。所以我当然是希望说，警方和检方能够真的抓到真凶。
Chen said the people should not have to fear backlash for participating in social movements. Hong Kong's biggest pro-democracy party plans to shut down as Beijing's crackdown on the territory intensifies.
Developing democracy in Hong Kong is always difficult, and it's especially difficult in the past few years. We see a lot of civil society groups or political parties disbanding or dissolving. This is not what we wanted to see.
The Democratic Party was founded in 1994 and became the primary opposition party in the territory. Since China introduced a national security law in 2020, Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement has come under more pressure. The law restricts anti-China political activities while promoting so-called patriotic leaders. Several members of the Democratic Party, including one of its former chairs, have been jailed under the security law. The White House is pushing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy to accept a minerals deal. That would give the US access to Ukraine's critical resources, which US President Donald Trump says would reflect the amount of US aid given to Ukraine. Joy Sung has more.
It's been a fraught week for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, here getting a chance to engage directly with the U.S., just as relations soured between the countries. His meeting with U.S. envoy Keith Kellogg, an opportunity to win back U.S. support, its largest arms backer in almost 3 years of war with Russia. But the talks ended unexpectedly, with the U.S. side canceling the pair's joint news conference. Still, Zelenskyy says it went well, and in a video message expressed hope for a security and investment agreement with Washington.
Генерал Келлог, зустріч, яка відновлює надію, нам потрібні сильні угоди з Америкою, угоди, які справді спрацюють.
Just days ago, U.S. President Donald Trump accused Zelenskyy of being a dictator and excluded him from talks with Russia about a potential peace deal. And now the White House is countering Zelenskyy's optimism about their latest meeting. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz urged the Ukrainian president to strike a deal that would give the U.S. access to Ukraine's critical rare earth minerals, a supply worth billions of dollars that Trump has said equates to the value of U.S. aid given to Kyiv in its fight against Russia. Zelenskyy previously rejected the demand, which did not include security guarantees for Ukraine.
Look, President Trump is obviously very frustrated right now with President Zelenskyy. The fact that that he hasn't come to the table, that he hasn't been willing to take this opportunity that we have offered. I think he eventually will get to that point, and I hope so very quickly.
Waltz also welcomed European-led security guarantees, mentioning British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron by name. Both leaders are set to meet Trump in Washington in the coming days.
Et donc ce que je vais faire, c'est je vais lui dire, au fond, tu peux pas être faible face au président Poutine. Comment ensuite être crédible face à la Chine si tu es faible face à Poutine?
As Washington appears to rebuild its ties with the Kremlin, European leaders pledged to do more to help Ukraine themselves, saying at a G20 meeting in South Africa that they would boost defense spending.
Well, look, let's be clear. President Trump is right. Successive US presidents have now been saying for generations that Europeans have to do more on their own defense.
Still, a long road ahead for a full-fledged peace plan that some leaders, including the UK's Starmer, say would still need US support. Once Europe's strongest ally, now a wild card in finding the end to the war in Ukraine. Scott Huang and Joyce Zinn for TaiwanPlus.
Israel says a body released by Hamas was not that of the hostage they promised. The body was supposed to belong to Shiri Bibas, who was abducted along with her 2 young sons by Hamas in 2023. Israel says Hamas handed over the boys' remains, but the body they said was their mother is of someone else. Israel is accusing Hamas of violating their ceasefire. Hamas has not yet responded. Cash for mosquitoes. That's the offer in one village in the Philippines as it tries to halt a spike in dengue fever cases. Cadence Quaranta reports.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
In this village in the Philippines, mosquitoes have a bounty on their heads. 1 peso for every 5 mosquitoes, captured and dumped into a UV light machine, which village officials call the death chamber. The project is an attempt to address a rise in cases of dengue fever across the Philippines this year. Dengue is rarely life-threatening, but can cause high fevers, rashes, and pain. And it's spread primarily by mosquito bites.
Ito pong ginawa naming programa is one of our alternative project na innovation approach na para hikayatin yung ating mga kababayan na maging parte ng pagsugpo ng what you call this ng dengue.
By the beginning of February this year, the country had already seen over 20,000 dengue cases, a 40% rise from the same period last year. With many falling sick, residents of this village in central Manila are enthusiastic about catching mosquitoes.
Yung mga nahuli ko, malaking tulong na rin po. Marami na rin po hindi makakagat ng lamok mo. Kasi nabawasan na po yung lamok.
But others have suggested the project is useless with one public health expert warning that by catching mosquitoes, villagers could make the problem even worse. The country's health department says the best solution would probably be to wear protective clothing and to get rid of any stagnant water. For now, though, in this neighborhood, mosquitoes continue to be captured and sent to their demise. Scott Huang and Cadence Quaranta for TaiwanPlus.
The World Baseball Classic qualifiers have kicked off, and Team Taiwan will play Spain at the Taipei Dome. However, it's not just the players drawing huge crowds to the stadium, it's also the cheerleaders. Our reporter Sandy Chi explains.
Igniting the crowds and pumping up the fans. These are Taiwan's baseball cheerleaders, who have been a fixture in the sport for over a decade. And at this warm-up game ahead of the World Baseball Classics qualifiers, they're cheering on Team Taiwan, competing under the name Chinese Taipei.
就是我们要用我们的热情，然后感染球迷，把我们全国的心都串在一起，然后一起为中华队继续加油。
The cheerleaders are responsible for getting fans invested in the game, making everyone at the stadium feel like an essential part of the match.
我觉得啦啦队是可以带动整个球场的一个活络气氛，这个氛围我觉得是大家喜欢的，然后大家会跟着一起跳啊，然后一起也会有很多人想要看他们。
可以带着大家一起跳舞啊，很热血，带动气氛这样。
Cheerleaders were first introduced to Taiwan's baseball scene in 1995, known as the Budweiser Girls. They were foreign models who helped sell drinks at games, but they weren't tied to an individual team. Then, in 2004, the Samsung Lions, a South Korean baseball team, brought their team's cheerleaders to Taiwan for an exhibition game, creating a sensation.
他们那时候是已经用电子音乐在播放，然后很欢乐，这样就有点像你走进棒球场，很像进去一个游乐园这样子，是可以大家一起舞动啊，然后一起跳舞。
This inspired Taiwan to form its first homegrown cheerleading team, the Lanu Girls, setting the stage for cheerleaders we see today. Taiwan now has over 100 professional baseball cheerleaders, but becoming one of them is no easy feat. The selection process is rigorous, assessing candidates for dance skills, social media management, and most importantly, the ability to be approachable and engaging.
我觉得首要就是要非常的跟观众是没有距离的。就那怎么样叫做没距离？那就可能就是笑容。对，你的笑容一定要感染到别人，觉得啊你好亲切，然后想要跟你可能多看你一眼，或是多跟你交流，然后或者是你用你的笑容去吸引他们一起跟你应援，这样我觉得是亲和力啦。
And once they're on the team, there are more challenges to come. They undergo intense training and have to memorize at least 50 chants for different players.
刚进来的时候会比较辛苦一点，因为刚进来的时候你要记很多的舞蹈跟应援，然后每一个球员都有自己的应援曲要记，就是刚进来的时候要学比较多。
And to stand out among the cheerleaders in Taiwan and get more fans and possibly sponsorships, they need to find something extra.
我觉得现在的女孩真的比较辛苦，因为她可能就是样样都要会，对，就是又要会唱歌，又要会跳舞，又要会跟粉丝互动，然后还要有时候要直播要讲话，然后又可能还要主持，对，就是现在比较辛苦吧。
For the World Baseball Classic qualifying games, cheerleaders from across the domestic league were chosen to form a special squad called the CTMAs. They'll be priming the crowds to support the national team.
These cheerleaders may not be the main characters on the field, but they definitely electrify the atmosphere at the stadium. No one can deny it that they play an important role in Taiwan's baseball popularity. Devonsai and Sandy Chi in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, it's a new solar year in Guatemala. These are some of the celebrations from there. I'm Louise Watt. Take care. Do join us next time.